Alright, what about spiders? Think you can take on one of those things? Tobias kicked the ball towards Sam with a bit more force than he usually did. Spiders are nothing. They look scary until you pump them full of bullets. Sam intercepted the ball with ease. He then pushed the ball next to himself as he noticed his shoe was untied, and proceeded to tie it. As he was doing this, Tobias narrowed his eyes at the football as it seemed to rock back and forth, like something was poking at it from the inside. "Hey, the ball, do you see that?" Tobias said as he pointed over to it. Sam tilted his head in amusement as the ball seemed to shake and suddenly jolt in one direction after another. Not believing what he was seeing, he nudged it with his foot, and suddenly leather legs shot out from the ball that connected to a central abdomen, much like a spider has. And that central portion of the football morphed itself by using the material on the ball to weave in and out itself to create 8 eyes. Finally, a portion was reformed to become a set of pincers and fangs. This newly formed spider hissed before latching onto Sam's arm and sinking its fangs into his arm. Get it off! Get it off! It hurts! Do something, Tobias!" Sam pleaded as he punched at the creature. Tobias rushed over, started pulling at the thing, but he couldn't even move it more than an inch. Tobias took a few steps back before pulling out his pistol and aimed it at his friend. "Stay still." Sam gritted his teeth and extended his arm off to the side as the spider-like entity chomped away at his flesh. Closing one eye, Tobias made a few quick adjustments and fired off a couple of shots until the spider screeched and dropped to the ground, writhing around in pain. He quickly ran over to it and pumped it full of lead. After emptying his clip, the spider let out a final wail before transforming back into a regular football, albeit one full of holes now. Well, you were right. Pump them full of lead, then suddenly they're not as scary anymore. You all right there, bud? Sam fell to his knees and clutched his wounded arm, crying from the pain and the relief of not dying. Where the hell did you get a gun? Hello everybody, I'm TheRubber. Today we bring you a SCP Foundation Keter class object, SCP-3023. SCP-3023, also known as "and then it decided to be an angry spider," is a phenomenon in which an object will abruptly develop an arachnoid form and gain motility in the presence of humans. It targets objects, in one instance a corpse, and transforms them into an arachnid-like creature composed of the object. These creatures are incredibly hostile towards humans and will stop at nothing to attack and mutilate their targets. 3023 has thus far occurred exclusively in a well-defined region of central Germany. This occurs on an irregular basis with an average of 2 months between occurrences. Objects affected by the phenomenon are collectively designated as SCP-3023-A. It will behave erratically, generally moving around their vicinity at random, using their legs and pincers to attack anything they come in contact with. Instances of 3023-A display speed, durability, and physical strength far in excess of what their structure and composition should allow. Destruction and dismemberment of the object is sufficient to cause anomalous properties to cease. It is still unclear how the mechanism by which 3023 occurs works. The following are the instances of 3023-A observed thus far. A baseball was ripped apart to produce 8 pointed legs surrounding a central mass. It reportedly animated mid-pitch. Upon impact with the catcher's mitt, the transformed baseball attacked the catcher lethally, then remained on the field for the following 84 minutes before its destruction by civilians. It was the first recorded instance of 3023-A. A metal folding chair transformed in an abandoned office building in the presence of several urban explorers. The legs and other tubular segments functioned as legs, with the seat and back operating as central mass. Several seconds of footage in which 2 explorers were killed by the instances. A human corpse transformed into a horrific monstrosity, with the skeletal system radically reorganized, allowing 4 additional limbs made of bone to emerge from the abdomen. It transformed during an initial examination by the local police department after the body was found on the side of the road. It resulted in 6 casualties. It was temporarily disabled after being ran over by a civilian driving an ambulance at high speed. Strangely enough, the genetic material of the human could not be identified. An SUV transformed while moving at high speeds and killed all the occupants inside after the transformation was completed. Due to its high speed and destructive power, MTF Julia's Angels received aid from the German Air Force in order to destroy it. The surrounding populations were amnesticized after the incident. A medical tablet that transformed while in the victim's throat, bursting out of their back and killing them. The smallest known instance of 3023-A. A telephone which exact configuration is still unknown. It has attracted the Foundation's attention via a security footage from the day prior to the telephone's transformation. Mr. Sauer, a local restaurateur, was brought in for investigation after being identified in the footage. Site Director Russell walked into the dimly lit interrogation room, where Sauer was sitting at the other side of the desk. His eyes darted around the room anxiously. The guard who was accompanying Russell set down a recording device. The machine whirred as Russell turned it on. Interview log SCP-3023-A6. Subject is Hans Sauer. Good evening, Mr. Sauer. How are you doing? Sauer stirred in his seat. He remained speechless for a moment as Russell fixed his attention on him. I'm okay, I suppose. Who are you people and what are you planning to do with me? Kill me? If I crossed you people in any way, I swear I didn't mean it. Russell ignored him and continued. Before we go further, Mr. Sauer, I would like you to watch a footage. Thomas, if you will. He motioned the guard. He inserted a tape into a nearby TV and pressed play on a remote. Mr. Sauer squinted at the screen as he saw a man breaking a window and entering the office building, where an instance of 3023-A appeared. He watched in surprise as he noticed the person picking up the telephone was him, yet he had no recollection of it whatsoever. The telephone in question that would transform into 3023-A the next day. With great disgust, he cringed as he witnessed his jaw slowly creak open before finally cracking, and distending open far beyond normal, much like a snake's jaw would. From inside his throat, 4 thick tube-shaped tongues snaked their way out and slathered around on the phone for exactly 36 seconds before they retracted back down his throat. Once complete, his mouth returned to normal and seemed to be healed of any damage it sustained in performing that grotesque act. The man in question then left the scene and the footage ended. What was that horrible thing? Why did you have me watch that? Because the person in the video is you. It is you, yes? Yeah, it would appear to seem so. Russell then turned towards the recorder. From this point on, interview subject Hans Sauer is officially designated as SCP-3023-B. Sauer began to sweat and tremble. He frantically grabbed at his throat and felt around his body. What does that mean? Are you saying I'm that monster? I have no memory of that. Oh God, those tentacle things, they're in my body, aren't they? What happened to me? We don't know what happened to you. When we took you to this place to give you a free medical examination, we discovered nothing extraordinary or abnormal about your body. Sauer pondered for a moment. Russell remained quiet and observed him. The air of silence was beginning to feel unbearable for Sauer. He cleared his throat and asked, "Then why am I still here? Clearly there's nothing wrong with me, so why have I been locked up in this place?" "There's nothing wrong with you, yet. We can never be too sure. After all, that is what we do here, 3023-B. What? Secure, contain, protect. Now then, you will remain here until the Council deems it otherwise. Or you die, whichever comes first. Do you have any questions, 3023-B? That number is not my name." "No, it is not." Russell gathered his files and rose from the seat. He smoothed out his suit and said, "But that's what we'll be calling you from now on." He gave one final look to the newly designated anomalous object, turned off the recorder, and made for the door. The interview concluded there, and 3023-B has been locked up ever since, and has shown no other anomalous capabilities or transformations. Despite this, Site Director Russell was given the order by the O5 Council to keep him contained for at least several more years, as they have been burned in the past by prematurely releasing possible anomalies. With this in mind, 3023-B will be given weekly bodily examinations and mental health screenings. Lastly, whenever an instance of 3023-A appears, 3023-B is to be heavily scrutinized and his behavior monitored for any changes. One time when I was a kid, I went to the circus with my older brother. We've both never been, and we figured it would be a fun way to kill an afternoon. After walking around for a while, it was very evident that it was a typical run-of-the-mill circus. You know the kind: clowns, animals, rigged games, salty and sugary foods that are sure to give someone a heart attack, and an assortment of rides. It's not that I was expecting a super amazing and fun time at the circus, but I was sort of hoping it would be more exciting. Well, lo and behold, my prayers were answered when my brother and I stumbled upon an abandoned-looking red and white tent with a sign in front of it that read, "Amaza the Mime." My brother and I looked at each other, shrugged, and headed inside the tent. Inside was a small dirt stage with a bunch of rusted chairs surrounding it. My brother and I sat down, the only people in the audience, mind you, and waited for the show to start. After a few moments, an old distorted tape began to play music from what I guess was the 1950s. Stepping out from behind a curtain was a mime, painted face and all, wearing a red and white shirt that matched the tent and suspenders. He greeted us with a bow and began his routine. It started out simple enough, him pretending to be stuck in a bow, as well as being blown away by a strong wind. And funnily enough, hitting an invisible baseball that seemed to send a surge of air past us. In all honesty, I was pretty impressed by this point, but what shocked us both was what came next. After taking a few more practice swings with his invisible bat, a torrent of spiders began pouring out of his shirt. My brother and I jumped out of our seats and nearly bolted from the spot. But the mime gestured that everything was all right. We watched as the writhing mass of spiders shaped themselves into an actual baseball bat, while others formed a baseball. Stunned, we stood there speechless as the mime showed these two items off with a weak smile on his face. He then tossed the ball to my brother, who initially panicked but still held onto it. The mass of spiders remained perfectly still, staring unblinkingly at him. We chuckled as he tossed the ball towards the mime, who swung the spider bat, hitting the spider ball with ease. The ball exploded, sending spiders in every direction, raining down all around us. Once they landed, they all raced back to my brother's hand and once again went into the shape of a ball. Quickly forgetting our previous apprehension, we proceeded to play a makeshift game of baseball for what felt like hours with this peculiar mime. Eventually, the show did come to a close and the mime bid us adieu. And while this was the creepiest and oddest experience I've had in my life, it is by far one of my fondest memories from my youth. Hello everybody, I'm TheRubber. Today, we bring you SCP Foundation Euclid Class Object SCP-3247. SCP-3247, also known as a magic mime and his mighty Morphin method-acting spider kids, is humanoid in nature, at roughly 5.5 feet tall. It wears a red and white striped pullover with suspenders and a pair of black pants. On its exposed face and any skin for that matter is white makeup similar to that of what a mime would use. Interestingly enough, after examining the clothing of 3427, it has been determined that it may actually be a part of its body. The reason for this belief is that the clothing itself has proven itself to be impossible to remove by conventional means. Furthermore, 3247 does not need sustenance to survive, but does enjoy watching silent films and performing mime acts for Foundation members. 3247 hosts two anomalous abilities, the first of which is that it is completely intangible, and while it cannot phase through walls, objects pass right through it. The exception to this is 3247-A. 3247-A are anomalous spiders ranging from an inch to nearly 1 foot in diameter. These spiders live within 3247 and are estimated to be in the hundreds. These spiders bring no harm to 3247, but are extremely hostile to all human life they come across. This entails quickly swarming a human and ranging from biting them to death and drowning them. To prevent such an attack, the Foundation notes that by simply pretending to use items, as do mimes, the spiders will stop what they are doing. They will then take on the shape of the imaginary object to be used for several hours or until 3247 stops them. Now, despite these items being solely constructed of spiders, they are able to work as though they were the actual item. 3247 does not itself appear to be hostile to humanity or Foundation members in general. Rather, it seems a bit annoyed with instances of 3247 as they will often interrupt his performance art, taking on the shapes of the things he is miming and getting in his way, as well as the fact that since he is a mime, using real objects is not really part of his shtick. The first test consisted of a D-Class making a finger gun in the presence of 3247. A portion of the spiders within 3247 exited its body and formed a fully functioning handgun. The following is what transpired next. So, you want me to pick up the giant mass of spiders that made a gun and pull the trigger? Dr. Rhodes nodded with a stern look on his face. Ugh, gross. All right, here goes. The D-Class then picked up the spider gun while making a grossed out face. He then pulled the trigger several times. A loud bang was heard with each bullet fired, as well as the appearance of gunpowder residue on his hands. The recovered bullets were in fact spiders formed into the shape of bullets. Well, I'll be damned. This works like an actual gun, even dented the wall. I wonder. D-Class then looked at the screen behind him and aimed the gun at where Foundation staff is. Now don't you dare! He fired the gun at the glass, only for the bullet to be embedded in it. It's bulletproof, you idiot. I swear, all you D-Classes are just the worst. It was worth a shot. Sorry, Doc, I'm an ex-con. Old habits die hard. Oh yeah? I heard you like a particular brand of snacks. I'm sure you're gonna enjoy the next one. The following test consisted of a D-Class making the OK sign with their hands and mimicked an eating motion with his mouth. A couple hundred spiders then formed into the shape of a chocolate stick biscuit. You've worked hard, so why don't you have a snack break now? You guys seriously want me to chow on some spiders? Gross, gross, gross. I've heard some pretty horrible things going on at this place, but this is just blah. Relax, no harm will come to you while the spiders are in this state. Nor will 3247 do anything to harm you as well. Ugh, fine. You guys will just shoot me if I say no anyway. That's the spirit. The D-Class hesitated for a moment, then took a careful bite on the chocolate snack stick. To his surprise and joy, he discovered that the spiders actually emulated perfectly the taste and smell of the snack, his favorite chocolate mint flavor too. Whoa, it's like I'm actually eating, like the real thing. He looked at the snack made of spiders and winced again. Ugh, just have to keep my eyes off of it and I'm good. Dang, some of them poor little spiders' body got bitten halfway. He then finished the snack with his eyes closed. This next test went askew when the D-Class went into the containment unit of 3247 while picking his teeth. The next thing everyone knew, exactly 3,000 spiders exited 3247 and created a vaguely humanoid shape. These spiders then quickly retreated into 3247, and SCP-5648, also known as Dr. Rockefeller, appeared in its place. He is an anomalous doctor who forcibly examines the oral cavity of any targeted subject. 3247 and the D-Class stepped back in shock, while the rest of the spectating Foundation staff did not seem to care about this event. My, Dr. Rockefeller, what a pleasant surprise. May I ask what you are doing here? I've come to inspect this D-Class, making sure you lads are taking care of them properly. Now then, son, let me see that tooth of yours. What? No. Hey, doctors, this isn't right. What is wrong with you? SCP-5648 approached the D-Class. He tried to fight him off, but 5648 had his mouth forced open and a molar was then ripped from his mouth. SCP-5648 lifted up and admired the tooth in the light, then bowed towards Dr. Rhodes and vanished. The D-Class was all curled up on the ground, shouting in pain, leaving Dr. Rhodes confused. Oh well, send in the next D-Class. The next D-Class entered the chamber and was instructed to wiggle his fingers as though they were a spider. A huge number of spiders then took on the shape of a giant spider that allowed the D-Class to sit on top of it. It then kicked and bucked around the room like a mechanical bull would. After the D-Class had its fun, he was asked to do another test. He shadowboxed in front of 3247, causing exactly 3,000 spiders to take on the form of a human. This Spider-Man then took up a fighting stance and challenged the D-Class. Ha! How cute. It wants to fight me. Good. I've been getting antsy being locked in this place. Time to put my boxing skills to work. By all means, have fun. The D-Class only managed to throw a few punches before getting chokeslammed into the ground by the Spider-Human. He was then mounted as the Spider-Human launched a torrent of punches down on him at high speed. Guards, subdue it! Several Foundation officers entered the containment unit and charged the humanoid before it could kill the D-Class. Despite this, the Spider-Man fought them all off before being brought down by numbers rather than skill. It broke my nose! God, it broke my nose! Oh, and my ribs too! The D-Class did make a full recovery but refused to be involved in further testing. Dr. Rhodes noted that this fighter created out of the spiders was on the level of a peak human MMA champion. The final test consisted of a D-Class pretending to drive a car. As soon as he did this, in what can only be described as a tsunami of spiders poured out of 3247, they then shaped themselves into that of a car. You want me to sit in a car made of spiders? Are you insane? Just do as you're told. This is what you signed up for. I'm sorry, did you not see the hundreds of thousands of spiders pour out of that mime? It's freaking gross. Upon hearing that, 3247 hung his head glumly. Now look at what you've done. You made 3247 sad with that remark. Look, just get in the spider car and start it up. Simple as that. Nope, not happening. Over my dead body. The D-Class then made a gesture with his thumb pretending to slit his own throat. Dr. Rhodes was about to warn him to stop, but he hesitated and decided to just let it play out. The car of spiders then quickly rearranged themselves into a masked killer which resembled a villain from the D-Class's favorite slasher movie. Jason? What is it doing here? That's a huge knife. Wait, no, it's chasing me. Help! Well, guess you got what you're asking for. You had your chance to drive Ferrari Spider, quite literally, but nope. Enjoy your main character moment. You know main characters die a lot in these movies, right? Oh my god, here he comes again. Help! Dr. Rhodes watched the experiment for an extended period, and after 10 minutes he called in security team and dispatched the spider slasher. Further testing with instances of 3247 has been suspended until an appropriate number of D-Class who have no fear of spiders can be found. Dr. Rhodes has gotten fed up with D-Class invalidating nearly a third of his tests out of fear or defiance. Until then, testing is put on hold. In the meantime, Foundation staff is welcome to watch 3247 mime acts. I sat aghast at what I was seeing on the monitors before me. My co-workers and I could not believe what we saw on the screens. That researcher, Dr. Christensen, who was tasked with the elimination of SCP-5682, had done the unthinkable. There was blood, chaos, violence, and misery, all because of his actions. He broke 682's containment. In his hubris, he believed that he had found the method in order to eliminate that abominable creature finally. It was under his belief that if he released it and put it on a path filled with acids, fire, and a rain of bullets, it would die. Obviously, this failed despite the bullets, fire, and acids being of anomalous nature. They failed. Member after member of the Foundation was slaughtered by this creature as he rampaged across their site. And where was the researcher, the so-called doctor that was in charge of this ill-fated operation? The man was miles away by the time the operation to eliminate 682 had started. It was like he knew that the chances of his plan working were not probable in the slightest. Seeing that this was not going to work, Dr. Christensen chose to detonate the on-site nukes. Not only did this kill all of those hiding in the site, but all of those who would have escaped. And the great doctor just sped away in his vehicle. Thankfully, 682 was too weak to fight back properly after being heavily irradiated, which made the recontainment easier. Dr. Christensen, however, well, let's just say the MTF squad escorting him didn't like what he did and reported his location. A long list of Christensen's sins appeared on the screens in front of us, and we all shook our heads. So I gave Christensen another new assignment this week, a new assistant as well. Now let's see if the doctor can repent. 053 signing off. Hello everybody, I'm TheRubber. Today we bring you SCP Foundation Keter class object SCP-5683. SCP-5683, also known as Will You Walk Into My Parlor, said a spider to a fly, is a large arachnid organism and has been marked for immediate termination as it presents a clear and ever-present threat to humanity. It is a monstrous spider that is kept under heavy sedation by the Foundation in order to buy time to learn how to terminate it. And should it shake off the heavy sedation, the containment in which it is held is flooded with acid. 5683 is capable of thinking, though not on the level of a human, but it can watch and learn, and strategize when hunting its prey, or even identify avenues of escape. 5683 possesses two unique anomalous abilities. The first ability it possesses is absurd regeneration capabilities. This allows it to regenerate from even a single cell, meaning it must be terminated all at once or not at all. Its secondary ability is something that the Foundation has coined as temporary reactionary evolution. This means that 5683 will rapidly adapt to whatever is attempting to kill it, be it fire, acid, gunfire, etc. And much like a spider, it has fangs, venom, webbing, and fast movements. It has been decreed by the O5 Council that SCP-5683 has been marked for immediate termination due to the constant attempts at containment breaches and the monetary and human life costs. 5683 can no longer be contained, and so the quicker it can be slain, the better. Dr. Christensen was put in charge of this operation. Should he succeed, he will be on the shortlist for a site director position. And as with all matters concerning the Foundation, the plan didn't go as well as they had hoped. All right, let's get this meeting going. And you, I don't believe I've seen you people before. First day? Yes, sir. Name's Silva. This is Miles and Hall. We've heard a lot about you. All good things, I hope. Welcome to the team. Wait, you guys smell that? What the heck is on fire? Oh, there was a fire in the cafeteria. Nothing to worry about, sir. Shall we go on? Well, hopefully it can get sorted promptly. Anyhow, let's get this work underway, gentlemen. After reading through 5683's files, I already have some ideas as to what we can do. But seeing as you all have more experience with this, Spider, you should have a better idea of what could work. Everyone shifted awkwardly and said nothing. Well, I suppose we start from the basics. First test. Let's use fire, eh? Very good, sir. After using a small piece of tissues taken from 5683, flames equal to 1,562 degrees Fahrenheit were able to reduce it to ashes. Taking this as a sign of success, Dr. Christensen then ordered more flamethrowers to be used against it. Multiple flamethrowers were placed in the chamber, and they promptly fired a steady stream of flames onto 5683. It then screeched wildly in pain as its body caught on fire and began melting. However, 5683's body then rapidly regenerates and thick armored plates cover its body, covered in a gel-like substance that protects it from the flames. It then screeched again and destroyed the flamethrowers. Its armored plates vanished as soon as that was done. Alright, so that failed, as expected. I saw this coming, you know? And seeing as conventional methods will be unable to bring down this spider, I have contacted the O5 Council about sending us some supplies. I have asked for anomalous substances that should be able to terminate our spider friend. And may I ask what substances you had in mind, sir? Y220, Y835, and Y436 should be enough to take out 5683. I mean, I've dealt with the lizard before, and there's no way it can compare. As soon as he mentioned that, everyone in the room turned their attention towards Dr. Christensen with a serious expression. So, you've dealt with that lizard before? Well, yes, but there was a containment breach. It was not good. Anyway, these substances will arrive soon. Y220 converted 80% of 5683's body into glass within 9 seconds, which then violently explodes. Unfortunately, 5683 rapidly adapted and began regenerating at a rate not yet seen before, purging the rest of the Y220 from its body. After the application of Y835, 5683 separated into 2 instances of itself, designated as SCP-5683-1 and SCP-5683-2. These 2 instances immediately began a violent brawl with one another. They simultaneously bit down on one another and injected each other with venom. While 5683-2 died almost instantly, 5683-1 adapted to the venom and consumed 5683-2 to regain lost mass. After the application of Y436, 5683 evaporated into a fine mist and vanished. Oh my god, we did it! It worked! We finally did it! Screw you, you overgrown arachnid! As soon as Dr. Christensen finished speaking, the lights in the entire facility went out for exactly 3 seconds. Once the lights came back on, 5683 appeared virtually unharmed. What the? How the hell did it survive that? We watched it vanish into nothingness. Dr. Christensen threw a chair across the room in a fit of rage. Sir, I must recommend that you calm down. I've had enough. I'm authorizing the usage of Y910. Everyone in the room gasped in shock, looking at each other uneasily. Sir, we shouldn't. Are you quite sure we're even allowed to use it? I mean, the risks alone are… I've never been more sure of anything in my life. The Global Occult Coalition uses this stuff to eliminate gods. Plus, if it worked against the damn lizard, I'm sure it can eradicate this spider. Sir, I highly suggest that we don't… Shut up, Silva! Do you know how much I've got riding on this? I've got not only my reputation, but I'm up for a promotion if this succeeds. So, sit down, shut up, and let me do my job. Dr. Silva looked down and said nothing. I'm sorry. Look, if things go south, I'll take responsibility for everything. All right, I'll go make the preparations. Christensen, I'll be holding you to your words. Unfortunately, the application of the substance resulted in a containment breach. Dr. Christensen and the other researchers fled into a secure bunker while 5683 rampaged throughout the facility. They all slumped against the back wall of the bunker, fearful for their lives. Oh God, what went wrong? I followed every procedure there is. This is the worst… Wait, what's that smell? Ugh, it's foul. 5683, I think it reached the reactor. It's my fault, sir. What do you mean by that? They all looked at Dr. Silva, who only looked down and said nothing. Silva, what the hell did you do? I went against your orders. I couldn't let you use Y910. I'm sorry. Why you? It's my job, my duty, to oppose actions that I believe are ill-advised. What you were going to do was… Shut up! Do you know how many have died because of that? All you had to do was follow my orders and things would have been fine. But there are procedures, sir, for reasons. You know it yourself, that it's unwise to use it. No, I see what you're trying to do. You're trying to turn me into a scapegoat. You caused this mess, not me. I swear to God, I will report you to the council once we get out of here. We can't, sir. This bunker won't protect us from the reactor exploding. Oh no. No! Suddenly, 5683 broke down the door and rushed in, screeching like crazy. Make a run for it. I'll distract it. If you all can get out, you can get help. Ugh! Dr. Christensen suddenly shoved Silva into 5683. I'm sorry, Junior. This is the only way. Wait. What? Dr. Silva had seemingly regained his composure in front of 5683. It didn't react. Instead, it vanished. I was hoping that you've learned your lesson, Christensen. I gave you a chance just then, so you can show signs of perhaps guilt and hopefully redeem yourself. Yet, you've squandered it. How very disappointing. Dr. Miles, Dr. Hall, and the security chief stepped into the bunker through the torn open door. What? Where did 5683 go? What's happening? It appears you've exposed yourself as the moronic fool you really are, Doctor. What are you talking about? Is this some kind of sick joke? You worked with the lizard before, yes? Why don't you explain how you were the only one to escape that event? All those people on site died because of you. I mean, the MTF squad got you in the end, but you planned it all out so perfectly, right? All to make sure that lizard didn't get you, at least. Who are you people? What do you want from me? To accept responsibility. Dr. Christensen tried to flee from the room, but a chain suddenly appeared around his neck, yanking him back in place. Stop, please. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. No, you don't mean that. It appears another lesson is needed until you get it. But I suppose it's too late for that now. Dr. Silva snapped his fingers. The bunker collapsed, transforming into a hellscape full of blood and fire that stretched endlessly into a void. We are the jury, and you've been judged. Accept your punishment, Christensen. The chain tightened around his neck and dragged Dr. Christensen into darkness. He was screaming nonstop, begging for mercy. As he was being dragged across the ground, slamming into every corner, he saw all of the walls of the site fell down, revealing an irradiated wasteland, blood, fire, and smoke. It was the site which he had destroyed to save himself. He did not learn his lesson. It is done. He paid for his sin. Nighttime. A shady man was looking for his score for tonight, and he found it. A red sports car parked in a quiet neighborhood. As he prepared his tool to steal the car, a voice came from behind. "Stop right there, you criminal." Before he could respond, he caught a glimpse of a boy swinging a bat towards him. He woke up the next day with a splitting headache, confused. He wondered, how am I in a jail cell, and what was that portal? Hello everybody, I'm TheRubber. Today we bring you a SCP Foundation Keter class object, SCP-4051. SCP-4051, also known as your friendly neighborhood Keter, is a teenage boy named Raynor Miller who can create a temporary portal, manifest a unique item, and pull them out. Some objects include a small weighted net, a glass of water, an aluminum baseball bat, an incendiary device, and a blast-proof sheet. Although 4051 is able to manifest anything, the object can only be removed from the portal if only it fits through the opening physically. Once the objects are manifested, 4051 cannot alter the contents of the objects. To manifest an object, 4051 needs to have a clear mental image and understanding of the object before it can be manifested properly. Before his recovery by the Foundation, he was involved in vigilantism. He used his anomaly to fight crimes such as theft and carjacking. It wasn't until August 2012 when a viral video of 4051 using his anomaly against several men had surfaced and caught the attention of the Foundation's operatives, which led to a successful retrieval mission. Shortly after 4051's containment, he was shown to have the immense desire to help. To utilize this, the Foundation sent him on a mission. It was a joint operation between MTF Psi-7, MTF Sigma-3, and 4051. With a bibliographer named Morgan who was an expert in deciphering runes and symbols, 4 members acting as the bodyguards, and 4051 as the supplementary aid in combat by providing utilities. The mission was to investigate a building of confirmed anomalous activity in Chicago. It was suspected of being a point of interdimensional travel. The team moved into the building quickly and carefully. While sweeping the rooms, they came across symbols on the walls. On the surface level, the symbols were actually runes designed to make the building appear unremarkable and to misdirect common people to look away from the building. As they moved deeper down, they found more symbols that are meant to either harm or boost physical capabilities. They cleared the floor. As they were preparing to regroup, they heard shuffling sounds coming from the second sublevel. The team tensed up and approached further down with their fingers ready on the trigger. It was dark, no visual confirmation of any entity. They turned on their shoulder lights, and suddenly a loud screech was heard, and a creature scuttled extremely fast across them. From a quick glance, the entity was a large, spider-like creature almost towering an adult human, with the head of a hairless humanoid and the lack of any recognizable eyes. A screech, followed by rapid scuttling sounds, one of the spider-like creatures rushed upon the team from the side. One of them unleashed his flamethrower onto the incoming creature, engulfing it in a blaze that lit up the entire floor, revealing a massive horde of the spiders. They moved down the hallway but were met with unrelenting resistance from the horde. Eventually, they made it into the central room. "Damn, that was it? Did we kill them all? I was just starting to have fun," he exclaimed excitedly. "Shh, quiet. Look." A girl in a tattered white dress stood in the corner. She stared at the team blankly. As a team member approached her, she emitted a loud screech, same as the spiders they encountered earlier. Then her body disfigured as she transformed, becoming a spider herself, except it was much bigger than the others. The team unleashed everything they had against the spider, but to no avail, as it grabbed hold of one of the team members' legs and broke it, causing her to let out an agonizing scream before she lost consciousness. As the lesser spiders emerged from the hallway behind them, the symbols on the surrounding wall started to glow, and the floor started to dematerialize and turn into a portal. Using his quick wit and resourcefulness, 4051 had memorized the shapes of the symbols he had seen. Combined it with his anomaly, he was able to manifest a roll of duct tape with the symbols inscribed on them and tape them on his suit. Thus, he was able to take powers from the symbols and use them against the spiders. His movements were quick and sharp, avoiding all the attacks. His flamethrower turned the spiders into a fiery mess. Soon, the screeching stopped. He could only hear his own heartbeat and his rapid breathing. He looked around and found that he was the only one standing. All team members were dragged into the portal by the spiders. The unbearable silence felt heavier than his flamethrower, and the room was filled with the smell of burnt flesh. 4051 jumped when his headset beeped in his ear. It was the command. He was ordered to abort the mission. 4051 looked at the swirling portal, a dark tunnel with dirty brick walls on the other side. He said, "Listen, I'm going in." That's what a hero does, right? He disobeys his superiors to save the day. And so he jumped into the portal. Immediately, he found Morgan up ahead. His arm was merged with the wall, causing him intense pain. Under the order from command, 4051 manifested a laser and a bottle of painkillers. He separated Morgan's arm by laser cutting the intersection between the brick wall and his flesh. Morgan took the entire bottle of painkillers and pressed onward to save the rest of the team. Suddenly, there was a distortion on the wall. A head of a large entity emerged from the brick. It appeared to be a humanoid and continued to rise until its form occupied the entirety of the tunnel. Its body was roughly 20 meters in height, requiring the walls and ceiling to wrap around it. Its pure white skin was inscribed with several unknown symbols, marked in a black substance along its forearms and chest. The entity took control over 4051's mind. 4051 fought against it as he clutched his head with both his hands, as if to get the entity out of his mind, and screamed in pain. The command immediately activated the amnestic, which was injected into 4051's body just before the mission. It rendered him unconscious, but not for long, as he immediately stood back up and began to run down the tunnel. "Get out of my head! Get out of my head!" he screamed as he ran. Morgan couldn't keep up with 4051's pace and soon fell behind. As he was running, he manifested a pathway which made his surrounding brick walls to disintegrate abruptly. Through the path, he saw an old enemy, the large spider which the girl had transformed into, as well as his teammates, fighting fiercely against the creature. 4051 promptly joined the fight. As he screamed, the massive humanoid entity reformed above the group. Its eyes began to glow as it looks down on all of them. While he was briefly paralyzed by the mind control and amnestic, 4051 gained the power to delete any entity by manifesting the opposites of them. With that power, he destroyed the spiders, the humanoid, and the extra dimension they were in, and thus successfully returned to base with the entire team, save for one who was killed by the girl who turned into a spider. However, back in his containment cell, the Foundation had decided that 4051 was to be detained, as he was deemed to be an enormous threat to the Foundation and the world due to his newfound power. Upon hearing those words, 4051 hesitated and nodded repeatedly. He managed a smile and said, "That makes sense. It makes sense. I'm sorry." We hope you enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to click like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell. Have a favorite SCP you want to see on this channel? Leave us your suggestions in the comments down below. In the meantime, if you'd like to see more SCP content, then check out some of our other videos right here. As always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in our next video. Bye-bye.